September 25th, and it's step 2 Libra, and we are here for Astro Monday. If you like astrology and you know anything about astrology, you want to know about astrology, we have Chris Witecki, my sensei to Sirius Joy, the person who has trained me with astrology. If you've been watching for months or years and you see us answering questions and helping people, we use astrology as a baseline to make our whole program work. And it's how I've understood the body. So you're going to get an opportunity to engage with Mr. Chris Witecki. Welcome, welcome, welcome. What's up? Put in where you're from. I'm from New York. Oh my God, I love Chris too. Just signed up for Sirius Joy. Right on, Celestine. Did you sign up through the Human Garage? And if you haven't signed up through Human Garage, just let them know, send an email and say you want to be transferred to the Human Garage portal, because we will be sending special messages through the Human Garage participants at some point. December 8th, 83, right on. Balancing Lotus, Orangeville, Ontario. Maura, hi Maura, how you doing? Gemini's going, hey Lauren Haas. New Jersey, Nebraska, Auckland, well, England, Argentina, Serbian, Belgrade. Hey, welcome from Belgrade. Orlando, Florida. We had somebody in from Serbia earlier. Well, actually from Bosnia. Munich, Germany. Wow. Tuning in from Las Vegas. So are things in Las Vegas the same? Are we still shut down? Hey, Mark Lou, Burnaby, British Columbia, Minnesota. Minnesotans are like Canadians, officially. Croatia. Yeah, if you guys want, we're probably going to be bringing up a couple people today. And if you have your sun, your moon, and your rising, that's more likely to get us to bring you up. And if you want to come up, I'm going to ask you to put to actually request or put a question in the comments here, right down on the second button right there. And in that question side, we can actually see, and I want you to put in that question side your sun, your moon, and your rising if you know it. And then your question, and we'll bring you up based upon that. Okay, let's look at Christopher Witecki coming up. Remember, if you have a question today, you're going to put it in the question comment with your sun, your moon, and your rising, and your question. And what we're going to do is we're going to take those questions live. Hey, Christopher, how you doing?
Hey, brother, doing well. Welcome to Libra season. Good to see you.
Oh, wow, man. I got to tell you, first of all, from the 29 degree all the way through to today, complete detox, everybody here. Like physical detox.
Yes, I'm getting that all over the place too from my people. It was like you're running a marathon and you just collapsed at the finish line.
Yeah, oh, well, absolutely. So I went down and in our app, our community, I showed my whole, like, chicken pox came out on my arms and all my face, but it was gone like within 8 hours. And then I had not a fever at all. I had a little bit of a sore throat, and then I had night sweats, and then got up.
Wow.
Yeah, it was. Then Jay went down. Lisa went down for multiple days at a time. And of course, in our community, like, we're talking, I can't tell you how many people have passed away directly in our community. I mean, wow. People like literally in our community have passed away since the 28th degree Virgo, and
wow.
and then all kinds of detox symptoms all over. And I noticed today on my live that, because it's step 2, that everybody came on the live. Every single person came on and says, I have so many questions and I don't know what to ask you now.
You know what to ask me?
Well, they said, I have so many questions.
Oh, they don't know what to ask.
They don't know what to ask.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and every single person said that today, 2 hours in the live.
Okay. Well, ask questions. This week is about rewriting your me-ridge vows to yourself. I call the relationship to yourself your me-ridge. So I would say people ask questions about getting along with yourself, because that's what this week is really about. This week's about how you get along with yourself. And
they were like stunned. They couldn't think. They wanted to say so much, but they couldn't get a form of thought today.
Yeah, I've had I felt that. I mean, I've been on the go. This whole weekend was just all nonstop trying to. I'm behind in everything. Even when I'm telling you right now, it's like we're overwhelmed with tasks and things that we have to do and stuff that we want to do. That's all the energy I think that we're coming from with coming out of Virgo. And now, and this first week of Libra is like, how am I going to live up to what I want to do? How do I bring the best out of myself? How do I pull it off? Today, probably people are feeling everything that is going to be encompassed this month.
Wow. Yeah, you can feel it. We had people reach out trying to reorganize agreements with us. That was one thing I noticed, and I could tell it wasn't about us. It was about them trying to figure out how they're going to do what they're going to do. Because that was literally the theme. It's like, I want to do this. How can I use us or work with us to get that I want to do that out of it?
That's interesting, because I literally put down as a note for today that we are renegotiating our value.
Right.
And that's Mercury trining Jupiter at 14 degrees, Mercury at 14 Virgo. So even though the sun has moved on to Libra, which is our heart is focusing on our relationship to ourselves, because Mercury is retrograde, we're still behind in all the things we have to do. Mercury being all the tasks, all the duties, all the task list, the responsibilities, the contracts that need to be signed. And we're going to be our mind's going to feel behind for a while.
How long is that? First of all, when does Mercury come out of retrograde?
Well, Mercury's out of retrograde.
Yeah, it went direct last week, right?
It went direct, yeah. So we are direct. We're out of the cloud.
But we're still feeling that 20 some odd days that we were in Mercury is what you're saying.
Well, and Mercury is still what we call in shadow. So like it's still, shadow is the place that it was rethinking in the first place. So when Mercury's still in shadow, you're catching up and you're sort of following through and you're coming to conclusions from what the retrograde told you. And
so
the retrograde
how long does that last for, the shadow?
Mercury stays in shadow, I believe. I think Mercury's about coming out of shadow. I'd have to look to see. I'm a little where did Mercury start? I forget. I'll have to do a little research while you talk about something, and I'll let you know. Yeah. Hold that thought.
Yeah. Well, okay. So everybody who wants questions answered, because we're going to take a lot more audience today, you're going to have to put your questions down at the very bottom in the question, and we want your rising, your sun, your moon, and your rising in there with your question, and we'll be drawing from there. Looks like the questions are stacking up. And if you don't know your sun, you don't know your moon, your rising, go to astro.com, put in all your birth information, and it's going to send you, it's going to say your sun sign, your moon is your second one, your rising is called AC or ascending, and it's on the left-hand side at the very bottom, and there'll be usually two on the bottom.
So Mercury's out of shadow this Friday, right after the full moon. We have a full moon in Aries this Friday, so we're building up to a full moon.
That's what's going on.
Yes.
It's like that's what they're doing. They're getting ready to end stuff.
Yes.
I could feel it, because the people that I'm talking about, I already know it's ending. There's something ending. So they're either participating in ending, or I can feel the ending coming up.
The ending with the relationship itself, because that's definitely
or the relationship with us,
right.
Yeah, or ending of the type of relationship, not like fully ending, but like if we have a contractual relationship with somebody who's been interacting with us for some time, all of a sudden they were saying, hey, listen, I want to do this with you, so they want to renegotiate or set it out, and a couple of them are at the point where it's like, that isn't even close to being fair. So that would be ending the relationship. But it was like to the point where, like, why would you ask that? That's what we had in a couple of situations today.
I think Mercury trining Jupiter means people are going over, Jupiter is Sagittarius. Sometimes Sagittarius go a little too far.
No, what are you talking about?
Well, they just overshoot, it's like they give a long jump and missing the sand. You know what I mean? Like going way over the sand that you were trying to jump into. Sometimes it's just jumping farther than you want. But that Mercury trining Jupiter would mean that people are a little inflated, and that's good because they need to come out of where they were. But standard negotiations, you aim high with the expectation of going lower.
It was a Scorpio and a Sagittarius in particular that I'm talking about at this exact moment.
Oh, that's fascinating. So for Scorpio, they're ready for a whole new career direction after their Venus retrograde. So
you can feel that. Yeah.
Scorpios want renewal. I know I'm close to 2 Scorpios that are between jobs right
Yeah,
now. I mean, when I say jobs, I mean maybe industries,
yeah,
like
yeah.
not
That's
just like
exactly what's
another.
happening.
Yeah, it's like a whole industry change or a new sector of the market. And Sages are ready to find their place in the world. Virgo for them is their career also. So because of Venus and Leo, Scorpio career, but because of Sun and Virgo, Sagittarius career. So Scorpios and Sagittarius are definitely looking for their career to move forward. And I think what's ending with this full moon. So this week is about facing your marriage vows, your relationship to yourself. So I think we had a change of heart with Venus and Leo. Our heart wants something else.
Lost you for a second. You
Decline a
froze out. I
call.
lost you. You said changing me
Sorry about
rich.
that.
Yeah.
So um, so we were so the sun is, we had that the Venus in Leo retrograde was a change of heart of what our heart really wanted, basically, and then the sun in Virgo is like, well, how am I going to do this, basically? And we've been calculating how am I going to do this. Now the sun's in Libra. It's like, all right, if I'm going to do this, I need to approach myself differently. I can't look at myself the same way I've looked at myself if I'm going to pull whatever it is I want to do off next. And the full moon in Aries on Friday, very early in the morning on Friday. So basically, make your vows Thursday night. Your marriage vows Thursday night. That full moon in Aries is a surrender. It's at 6 degrees Libra, which is a white flag. Full moon is
Grandmaster
surrender.
Libra.
Exactly. So that means that's why I know we're getting me read. By the way, I know we're getting me read, which means new vows to ourselves, new promises to ourselves, because the full moon is at 6, the grandmaster of Libra, which is when you set the relationship with yourself. And that moon at 6 means, okay, my ego is going to have to surrender some sort of fight with myself. So I think the full moon is ending a certain fight with yourself. So for instance, maybe someone has wanted to go on camera, but they've been fighting with themselves about being nervous. It's time to end that fight. Or if someone wants to open their own business, but they've been fighting with themselves because they're uncomfortable with the uncertainty of the salary. And if you're going to do it, you're going to have to end that fight with yourself. So there's some argument with yourself that needs to stop this week in order for you to go forward. Somewhere where your ego is resisting. And to put it in your terms, ego resistance is inflammation, is disease.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Because the ego is how we show up in the world, and the ego is in constant constant juxtaposed or contrast to who we are and what our emotions are. That's literally the reason. It's you need a little pull over here and a little pull over here, and if it's in balance, you're moving forward. If it's one way or the other, you're being pulled in that direction, and that's how the body works. Literally, masculine to feminine, forward, backwards, up and down.
That's what this full moon is masculine and feminine. I mean, Aries is the masculine, Venus and Libra is the divine feminine. So this full moon is, you could say the masculine is taking a knee to the feminine on this full moon.
Okay, so let's take a step back for a minute to last week. Okay, we talked about last week, basically everything we talked about. If you haven't seen last week's, it's a good time to go look at it, because when you watch last week's live that we did, which by the way, they're all now going up weekly on our website, our conversations. So they're actually going on our YouTube, on our website, easy for people to find, indexed, all that stuff. So you'll be able to get these really easily. And we're just doing like these and a couple of other weeklies that I do. So last week, I had people, like an exorbitant amount of people die. Whoa. I had a lot of people, and I have a lot of people that I either feel or touch directly or indirectly. And I had a lot of people with head trauma. Like we're talking like heads crushed in, like 32 stitches and stuff like that. And is there, what would be the reason for people like checking out? Like here's one, the day before her birthday, last week, 28 degree. So passed away on 29 degree. On her 59th year, second Saturn return, 2 years after her husband passed away, and she spent the last 2 years serving people, helping, and she died over top of helping somebody on a table.
Whoa, that's going to be traumatic for the person receiving that too.
yeah, but I mean, but
wow.
in the greater sense of that, I mean that has to have some meaning.
Well, I mean, my first my first instinct is, we talked about this last week. Virgo is the embodiment of Holy Spirit. So it's literally the embodiment of your spirit, or your spirit incarnating. So we came to the end of Virgo, the end of incarnation. And so all these people die at the end of incarnation. To me, it seems kind of timely. The earth is also in Pisces. The sun was opposing Neptune, which is our connection to our Heavenly Father. So we were literally opposing our connection to God with the sun opposing Neptune, which was on step 26 last week, which was Tuesday of last week. So last week we sort of checked in with God with that opposition, and what is my destiny? What is my fate? And it's sounding like a lot of people answered that question with, I'm
Yeah,
done. I'm out of
I'm
here.
gone. I'm out of here.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
my fate. I'm going to reboot this and do some, leave this body, leave this ego, leave this story, and burst something new.
Well, it's just like when my mother went. She made a decision. I know the date she made the decision, 6 months to the day she passed, to the day.
You told me, and by the way, for the record, I was witness to that. When you said that, I was like, I hope you're wrong, buddy.
Yeah,
But
I
you were
believe
absolutely,
so much. I believe so much in what I do.
yeah.
It's just that, like you could just see it, and you're right. It happened.
Yeah, you told me, you're like, I think my mom's decided to go. She's got so many months, is what you said
Yeah.
at that moment. I was like, oh, okay. Planning an exit. You can usually feel when people are planning an exit. And psychically, I see a black line drawing from them in my third eye as the exit. That's the symbol my spirit uses for they're on their way out.
Yeah, you usually find it's 6 months or 9 months. It's either to bring balance or to make is to become something or force other people to become something. 6 or 9. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Yeah, and 6, of course, is, there's 12 signs. So every 6 months you hit the opposite of that 12th sign. So if you make a decision, 6 months later, you're where the earth was at the time you made the decision. So you've literally made it real. And the earth is now where the sun was. So the sun and earth switch places every 6 months.
Yeah. 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 So okay, so now we kind of know why last week happened. So what's the prognosis coming into the moon? What do we expect to happen by next Monday?
By next Monday, I expect you to have a new deal with yourself. That you realize that, this also is coordinating with Saturn in early degrees of Pisces. So Saturn entered Pisces in March, which was the point when God universe said, okay, it's time to end certain patterns and cycles that you have with yourself, your karma with yourself. And Saturn made it all the way to 7, which is literally karma with self, and then retrograded. So it could not be more clean with the degrees. So there's this mandate from the universe. We got to end the karma with ourself. And so from that point in Pisces, we sort of ended it with our ego stuff with ourself in Aries, and we ended it with our value stuff with Taurus, and we ended it with our thinking in Gemini, and our feelings about ourselves in Cancer, and what we love about ourselves in Leo. And then as we came to Virgo, it's like who we've become on the inside. And so we've been building up now. But then Libra is really the actual relationship to yourself. Although we had the proclamation in March to end the psychic karmic patterns with yourself, it's not till Libra that you get around to it. So I don't think anything will be new for anyone in this particular week. You know better. You know exactly what you need to end with yourself. I think we've had this entire time since March, 7 months basically, to figure out what that is. Now it's about actually doing it, and probably the lever of this, to pull the lever and make it happen, it's probably not to start something, it's probably to stop something in most cases, represented by that full moon in Aries. That full moon in Aries to say, stop, stop resisting, stop fighting, stop denying. These are all Aries sort of themes. And surrender to
Stop
what your heart
resisting,
really wants.
stop denying, stop finding Aries themes, right?
Yes.
Stop denying.
Yes, exactly. Stop denying. Come out. So it's sort of a wake-up call for ourselves, and to face ourselves in the mirror. And it's necessary because, I just did a meeting with my team for the month of October, and we're calling the month of October Uniting the Light. Because what it appears to be is that we spell uniting U-K-N-I-G-H-T, like a knight in shining armor.
Yeah,
So uniting the light. And we feel like, looking at the month, that after this week, the rest of the month of October is all about the new teaming up, new alliances.
It feels like that. We're having all these new people come in.
Yeah,
We're prepared for all these new partners, all these new relationships. All these people are joining in our programs. It's like you can just see that it's about to go boom.
It's the it is, I think, and given where the world is heading as far as some showdown as far as power, like it's like the world's going to have to decide, are we going to be live in the light, are we going to live in the shadow, like are we going to allow everything to continue to be destroyed, are we going to pick ourselves up from this slump since COVID? I think this is a band of brothers. So I think that this uniting of the light is the band of brothers. The people who will be on the same team for the re-evolution of humankind, which is what is around the corner in 2024. We start teaming up with those people. So when you said we have people leaving Human Garage or leaving the organization, I was like, oh, I'm not surprised because we're about to team up here. So I would, so people who are not meant to be on your team will likely be vacating, and that's everywhere. And sometimes that's just because people have a sabbatical. It's not always a personal thing. It's where our life is on different paths.
Right, right. Yeah, so this full moon is really just ending that old cycle and
With
then
self.
start, yeah, with self, and then starting the new one.
With self, yes. Yeah, absolutely. With self. Yes, although there's a lot of stuff we're tracking in the world this week, and Mercury's coming out of shadow, and it comes out of shadow on the full moon. I should have known. The timing of that is just
Right.
like so. So, and that was sort of the reorganized Mercury in Virgo is like reorganizing lifestyle, reorganizing pieces on the chessboard. So you're moving pieces around in your life that are probably expiring or in the way or need to be sort of what's the word, separated and understood a little bit deeper. So we're sort of grappling with a lot of busy activity this week. We're very busy, but what's happening underneath that is I need to start, if I'm going to be a winner, and I talked about this in my show, Namaste Today. It's like, if you want to be something greater than you've ever been in your life, if you want to go for your goals and your personal dreams, then you can't treat yourself the way you've been treating yourself, because that's why it hasn't been happening. Like at the end of the day, how you treat yourself is ultimately what determines your success. It's not outside of you, it's within you. So I think what separates the winners from the people left behind are the winners will realize that I don't care how good you are, we're always growing. It's time to step up the game with yourself. It's time to be your own best friend.
Right, right. And this is why it feels so intense to people, because they haven't been their own best friend for a long time.
Oh no, absolutely. I agree. And we've been in the blame game too, like you start off blaming your parents and blaming the world and blaming the economy and blaming the president, like it's all this outer blame, but none of that will change your life, blaming those outside forces. The only thing that'll change your life is taking responsibility for yourself where you can. That'll change your life. And I think if you show up to the world less fractured, so if you show up more whole and with yourself and on your own team, that's a much harder human being to manipulate, to influence, to persuade, and so if you're concerned about the world, then become unstoppable by being your own best friend.
Okay, so last week we had marching, even in Canada. We had 1 million people march against the schools.
I saw that. I was so proud of you guys.
The
I was so
Canadians never
happy.
march. It's a once in a lifetime, but it was coordinated against every city in the country.
I
And
think it's fascinating.
yeah, and then so I saw that transition happen. So what do you think now
Remember,
on the energy? Because we're bringing things back into balance. What do you think that energy is going to do in the global stage here this coming week or two or three?
we're going through. Remember, I said Pluto went back to 27 Capricorn, which is the United States natal Pluto, and that Pluto 27 Capricorn is what's initiated the Declaration of Independence. And remember, I said to you the last time Pluto went to 27, the Canadians had that truck rally thing,
Right.
like. And so here's the second time Pluto goes back. Oh, the Canadians are rising up
When the
again.
Canadians rise, you know you got a problem because we're rule based. We don't rise
Oh,
against anything.
and you're so nice. You don't even say no in a tough way. You're like, no, like
Yeah.
it's you're so kind and nice. That's I think it's a very good sign that the Canadians are the ones rising up. It's sort of interesting. So Canada's sort of taking the place of America, where America was in 1776. It really seems like after this latest event, it seems to me that Canada is sort of playing that world role of independence and freedom.
Right.
That the people of Canada, it's their turn up to bat, and Americans will probably drinking beer in the bleachers as usual.
Yeah, I feel that
watching the
Americans are just
game.
kind of like shell shocked, like kind of like a bomb went off and their ears are still ringing.
Yeah, absolutely. And we I think I don't know. I mean, you can speak to this, but we've really allowed ourselves to be divided and turn on each other.
Yeah,
And it seems like in Canada, the common enemy is the government, not each other. You all haven't turned on each other. We're Neptune is in the same place it was before the Civil War in America. So we have a civil thing going on with different philosophies and approaches to life that's happening that might be taking more precedent than the power struggle of Pluto in the high degrees. Um, so this week, as far as what happens on the global level, I would say there's a lot of things happening behind the scenes this week. Like Black Widows at 29 degrees Leo, so people are afraid of change. People are imagining what could happen, I think, in the world, but I don't know if we're going to see any headlines. But I think that imagination of what could happen is what gets you prepared to be a band of brothers. So what makes you, uh, vow to yourself that you're going to get over your stuff because you see stuff coming ahead in your world that you need to be prepared for. So it's almost like we're preparing for the storm personally. And in the world, we see the storm happening, but we're not actually marching, forward with it literally.
right. So the yeah, I mean, I totally agree with that. I think you're right about it. I think the civil actions in the United States are more, but people, what they do is our outside world is a reflection of our inside world. So if we are dysfunctional in our body, if we have tightness, dehydration, chemicals, if we're in pain or suffering in our body, we tend to extend that external and point to everything external as a reason for that. That's a human nature thing. So we're seeing it right now. Like people were generally very, very unusually quiet last week. Like they weren't saying a lot. They normally we get flooded with questions and stuff like that, right? I felt like coming into later this week, probably after the full moon or early next week, I feel like people are about to go crazy because this whole last month in Virgo, you could see the questions coming up. People are really, really sick in their bodies, like significantly sick, anxiety, depression, and like husbands not speaking to wives and wives not speaking to husbands, partners not speaking to each other because they're afraid to even tell people that they're sick. Because if I say I'm sick, I'm going to be judged for being sick. It was bizarre
Right.
because we're detoxing here. On the outside world, they're like, "You got COVID? You gotta you gotta go get a test." And I'm like, "You gotta be freaking kidding me, right? You know who you're talking to. I'm gonna go get a COVID test, and even if I did, what would a test tell me? To
Well,
do
exactly.
exactly
It's
what
like,
I'm already freaking doing."
right, exactly. What's the point of that? Exactly. And buying
But
into it.
but it's weird. It's like when I don't respond the same way that people expect me to, like in fear about my body, they immediately jump to their fear and they try to project that on me or
Oh,
us.
yeah. That was COVID. You just summed up COVID. Like,
Yeah.
you just summed up the entire pandemic, in my opinion. That it's like everybody was personally afraid in COVID of them getting sick and them going down, and they were projecting that fear onto their neighbors, onto the Karens and grocery stores. Everyone was sort of like, pointing, look at people wearing or not wearing masks, and really was like, hey, you're the one, go deal with your fear. Don't beat up your world based on your fear. Take care of your stuff. But by the way, so there is a huge influx of sickness that happened last week. I know a bunch of people that went down with
Yes.
sickness.
Yeah.
But
We're talking that was like the only comments we got is, what do I do about this sickness? What do I do about this flu? Should I go get a test? All that kind of stuff.
yeah, and I have, and even people have said to me it probably is COVID. So what's interesting is, and my gut saying I think it's a cold. There's a bad cold going around here in the United States, which is kind of funky.
I
Maybe it is COVID.
Listen, I'm way past that. I don't believe in that shit anymore. It's like if it's cold or it's a flu, then we all get it or we don't. This whole thing about immune systems, it's like how can I catch a virus from you when it actually technically is already in my DNA?
Well, okay, we can get into the philosophy of that. Like the collective is collectively going down at the
Yeah,
same
that's
time.
what
So it's
it
like,
is. There's an energy
yeah,
shift. People are responding to it, And it's like because they're like for example, we have massively strong immune systems here. I mean, you can see us getting younger, hair changing, bodies getting young. Every part of us is. So at the peak of the peak of the peak, we are in the peak health of peak health of peak health. And our whole team all of a sudden went down, but they all went down the same time. And you could tell by their astrology what that looked like too. Like Jason, one day, because he never ever gets it in his body. He's got, even though he's a Sagittarius, he's got so much Aquarius in him and Pisces. He gets it in the air and he gets it in his thoughts and his feelings. But me, I get everything in my body. It's like it just shows up. But
yeah, you do.
We all went down at the same time.
You like, yeah, like you said, you completely got like a skin rash and healed it in 24 hours. Like, so yeah, that's hilarious. Well, I think Virgo, I had a cold about 6 weeks ago, but I always deal with stuff before the public. And by the way, that was the first cold I had since 2016. That was the first time I'd been any kind of like runny nose kind of symptomatic thing since 2016. So I was like, wow, this is a big deal. It went through my whole family, this cold, and it was very uncomfortable or whatever, but we all collectively went through it. Now I see in this last week of Virgo, a ton of people also having these colds or flus, whatever it is. But you know, Virgo is the embodiment of the soul. And to me, a lot of times, and you probably see this, but I think sometimes people get sick or surrender to a virus in their system when they are changing their relationship to their reality. It's almost like they're flushing out an old reality and they're using an illness as the rite of passage.
Well, that's what it is. When we say detox, it's because, like, I'll tell you what happened for Lisa. Lisa had an emotional realization about 12 years ago about an exact thing. So it's a Jupiter story. Change. Her body was sitting in a mall. She couldn't hear anything. Her eyesight started shutting down, started getting loud noises, started getting echoey, just like she had 12 years ago, like literally almost probably to the day. And then boom, from there, all the emotions started coming out. Well, it was 3 days solid in bed, but it was like no buildup, no warmth. It's just like you could see the emotion. We had an emotional talk. We did an emotional release, and within minutes it happened. Yeah. And this is why I say, like, I'm past the old how the body works is a different story. Let's get into some questions here.
Okay, sounds good.
So I am looks like Zico, who's a 29-degree Leo. Can you do me a favor and can you put another comment in there? I am X. Let me see if I can get them. I want to bring this one up. 29-degree Leo.
Yeah, you want those 29s in there.
Yeah. I am X. Okay, yeah, if you can put another comment in there. I was adopted, okay. Oh, no. If whoever that was, I'd like you to put the 29-degree Leo. So what they had is, here, I'll bring it up again. They're 29-degree Leo, and I'd like them to put another comment in there because I'd like to bring you up personally. Said 29-degree Leo, Scorpio moon 9 degrees, Taurus rising at 6. What would somebody like that look like this week? What might be their issue or what might be in their world?
So 29 Leo, you know, what's interesting is for Leo, this week is about changing the way you think about yourself. So your thinking is toxic somewhere. And I think this is about getting their mind around the changes that they happen in their birthday. So Leo's all decided to make a major change over their birthday period. And 29 Leo, you know, is probably on a bit of an extreme path. And so now they're considering a new extreme path or a refreshing path. So Libra energy is how they rule their mind. Leos go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. They're not very, you know, they have to sort of, it has to feel right and make sense, but it's ending the argument with yourself, and your ego is resisting believing something. So their ego is resisting believing in themselves. So where they're fighting is they're fighting over a belief about themselves. And that might be, by the way, accepting that you have a problem, accepting that you need help, accepting, you know, so, you know, it could be a person who has maybe been substance abusing. I'm giving these for Leo examples, not your particular 29. I'm not picking up on that person specifically, but you could realize, oh, I have a problem. This has grown into a problem. This is in the way of who I want to be now. Or certain negative thinking cycles are in the way of who you want to be. or I got to quit believing that I do it on my own and start believing that I can ask for help, kind of thing. Because Leos do tend to be the king of the jungle, and then they, try to be everything all on their own, and then they realize, no, they need the other animals, to also.
Right.
So, yeah.
Okay, so I get that for Leos. Now I'm going to bring up Kettle Buddha, who's a 0-degree Cancer,
Oh,
and
wow.
yeah, he's in our lifestyle artist program. And these are always interesting because this guy had somebody in their community that they work with pass away last week too.
Oh, really? Okay.
Hey, Luis,
Does
meet Christopher. Christopher,
Hi,
meet
How
Luis.
are
Luis,
you?
Kettle
How's it
Buddha.
going, brother? How are you? Nice to meet
All
you.
good. How are
I'm
you?
doing well.
Same here.
Never been better.
Nice.
0-degree Cancer, huh? Do you know your other stuff? Your rising and your moon?
Yeah, my moon is 28 Gemini
Oh, wow. Okay.
and rising is 10-degree Virgo.
Oh, okay. All right. So, there's two things going on. So this week is really about, as a Cancer, it's about treating your emotions differently. You have to nurture yourself differently than you had before. And, your high moon in Gemini, you tend to ignore your feelings. You're always like, you're feeling the world, you're feeling the group, you're feeling the room, but you're not feeling yourself for a few moments. So you're one of the guys. It's like, if I insult you, it's like 2 days later, you're like, what that motherfucker? You're like, there's there's like there's like a 2 day lapse before you realize it pissed you off. And they're like, what are you doing? Like, so, from a rising perspective, this means changing certain boundaries with yourself. That and that comes from the Virgo rising perspective. I mean the Virgo rising perspective. You're going to change your boundaries around what you value with yourself and what you don't value with yourself. And I think the takeaway is you have to listen to some of your more subtle feelings and take them a little more seriously. You try to be more drama, but no drama. I mean, you try to be no drama kind of guy, and you want to be logical with that Virgo rising. But some of your subtle little feelings, although they are not a big deal, they're probably important in the sense that they're telling you things that again, you tend to want to complicate things with a Virgo rising and 20-degree moon. Like, you want to make it all rocket science. It explain the complexities of everything. And you might find that, oh, there's some very simple answers from some very simple feelings that are coming up. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so accurate. So accurate. Yeah, I feel it. So
Yeah.
how do I do that?
So you be mindful of you check in with your feelings on a regular basis. What I usually tell clients with this is to set like alarms on their phone, and with the word, how am I feeling? And ask yourself, how are you feeling about different things in life? Like this person just walked through your office and went to lunch early. How are you feeling? How do you feel about that? Which is much different than how you think. Because how you think is, very programmed with agendas and in a belief structure. But how you feel is not usually programmed. It's something you're on the ride and can't get off. So your feelings will tell you, my mind thinks it's okay they're going to lunch early, but actually I don't feel like I like it. So even though it's okay in the rules with my mind, I don't like it. It's a little paper cut. It's bugging me. So you have to consciously tune in with your feelings and what they need.
And put more boundaries or something?
Well, yeah, it comes down to more
Or
boundaries. It's like boundaries in the sense of, now boundaries are kind of like when you hold on to something, those are boundaries, one hand on either side. So it's like, what am I going to hold on to? What am I not going to hold on to? And what you're going to find is you will feel better about you will feel that you're worth more, because as a Virgo rising, what you're going to start to face now are self-worth and money issues. So this next month in Libra, for Virgo risings, is all about self-worth and money issues. So if you're having a hard time manifesting money, if you're not feeling like you're being valued at work, or people are listening to the value of what you're doing, what your astrology is suggesting is, because you are ignoring the small things that you care about with your feelings, because you're ignoring your feelings, it's actually eroding your sense of self-worth. So in other words, you're a baby that never gets picked up by its mother. And so it may be causing you to feel like you're not worthy. And it's not that you're not worthy, it's that you're not treating your feelings as if they are worthy.
makes sense.
Yeah. So if you start to pamper yourself on the small things, you're going to feel like $1,000,000. We already know this. It's like if you sit in first class on the airline and they're like, "Would you like another one?" It's like just that constant attention from the the attendant makes you feel like $1,000,000. You feel like you're wealthy. And what are they doing? They're checking in on you more. That's all that's happening in first class. Of course, you got more leg room and better food, but
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, like what makes you feel first class is that constant customer support that you are constantly waited on by your own. So it's time to be your own flight attendant and step up the service, and you'll find that you'll feel like you're first class if you do.
Nice,
And then
nice.
you'll be able to
And that's
figure
all
out.
around.
Go ahead.
And that's all around this week,
Yeah,
basically.
this week for you is ultimately changing the way you feel will change how valuable you feel. So literally, so here's like a metaphysical wizard trick. If you want to earn more money, start pampering the way you're wired by your chart. The more you pamper yourself, the more money you'll make.
Bingo.
The more you pamper yourself, the more money you make. So, you're a person, like if you were a used car salesman, I'd be like, oh, dressed to the nines, feel like amazing, feel like $1,000,000 walking on that parking lot. And when you do, you're going to get the sale. So your level of income and ability to attract opportunity is directly proportional to your self-nurturing. And that's the irony, because you have a moon in Gemini in the high degrees. You want to like figure out all the big plans, and strategize and have the master plans, and you probably get emotionally excited and you feed off of that, like the excitement of your ideas, which is fine. Go ahead and eat that candy all you want, but you need some bread and vegetables. Like, like need some of the basics. You're eating all the candy of the good ideas right now.
Awesome.
Nice, nice.
Thank you, Luis. Got you some
Thank you,
wisdom
Luis.
there.
Thank you,
It's
guys.
nice to meet you, brother.
Same here.
Nice to meet you. Yeah,
So
my pleasure.
yeah, Luis, he was it was in his group of people in Toronto that he had the person die actually.
Oh, wow. Okay, he didn't address that. So,
Well, it was a
and you brought it up
28 degree Virgo that died.
that died. So we talked about the person who passed, but we didn't. So yeah, like you're probably still watching, Luis, but this is maybe better that you're off the camera for this. You might have to grieve and mourn that loss. Like that might be the feelings that need to be faced. Like maybe he's taken the high road and trying to understand on a big picture, but there's probably some personal loss that has to be grieved to this week, if that's the case.
Okay, so we have a question here. Okay. In there you can see in the pinned comments 18 degrees Cap Sun, 11 degrees Scorpio rising, and 5 Pisces moon.
Okay, 18 Sun. Say it again for me.
18
I should have been writing it down.
Cap Sun,
Mm-hmm.
11 Scorpio rising, and
Okay.
5 Pisces moon.
Oh,
So the
interesting.
question was, what does it mean when most of your planets are condensed in 2 houses, mostly second and third house, with a stellium in the third house?
Okay, so what that means is, so whenever you have planets concentrated in one area, it's like your soul has invested all of your energy into one side into just a couple of parts of you. In this case, into making money and value and into thinking. The stellium, in the third, it's like a double-edged sword. On the one hand, there's great potential for genius. On the other hand, you could become geniusly stupid. Like your intelligence can make you feel like you know nothing. So trying to separate your ideas. Ideally, if you're if you're in heaven and you're making your chart, you want to like spread your energy all around the circle. That's the ideal. So, so basically, this person needs to focus on, in order to counterbalance all that energy, because it needs a counterbalance. That also means it needs like a way of like untangling things when things get messy and tangled up. This person needs to focus on where their boundaries are, which is the 8th house, and what they believe, which is the 9th house. So when they get caught in their mind, well, what do you believe? That's the question. And if they get caught in being overly material or focused too much on the materialism of life, which is money, value, manifestation, abundance, then it's time to do some cutting, which is the 8th house, to draw some boundaries and to separate things.
Awesome. So, okay, I'm going to invite up 29 degree Pisces with, I think, 4 other Grand Masters in their chart. Matt,
oh, wow. Okay.
Right? One of our partners.
Okay.
And he came into my world 2018, and we were trying to do business. We couldn't do it because that was when we were going through all that debacle. And then it just started to unwind from there. So Mac, I'm trying to bring you up right now.
We're just waiting on Instagram.
Yeah. Let's see if it comes up. And so it's like one of those things that I asked you like a long time ago is how many 29s do you read? And I was like, all of a sudden, every single person, like over the last couple of weeks, every single person that's came into my sphere of influence from the outside world has been a 29 or a 0 or a 28. There's been nothing else.
That's interesting. I wonder if that's because you're refining something in yourself.
I believe that each one, Mac's unable to join for whatever reason. Mac, your Instagram's not updated. That's what it is. So we'll have to get to him next time.
Okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
We'll call that fate. 29 Pisces. We'll call that fate.
Yeah. And
this guy Neptune conjunct his sun.
Yeah, and it's 28, and his moon is 28, 28 degrees Aquarius moon. But let's try here. So we've got here. I'm just taking a quick look. Okay, here's one of our people, and she's a Gemini, so she's crazy.
Yeah.
Rejean, yeah, she's crazy good. Such a sweet girl, always helping people.
Do we know her degrees?
Yeah, she'll give them in a second. She and Rejean, I'm calling you up, and so yeah, she's I've been watching her growth and changing as a Gemini, changed her whole outlook.
Wait, hi. Oh, sorry, Chris.
That's okay. Oh, I love your picture. Hi, Rejean. How's it going?
Can you give him your degrees, Rejean, please?
Pardon?
Can you give him your degrees of rising moon and sun again?
Correct. So I am a 12-degree Gemini sun.
Love that.
My moon is a 19-degree Aquarius. Okay. So I resonate with today. Then my ascendant is Cancer. And then my next two planets are 27. So I think I'm literally actually on astro.com doing it again. So I have it up.
Oh, gotcha.
But yeah.
Do you know what degree your Cancer rising is?
My Cancer, I think it's a 23.
Yeah. Gemini Cancer, and she's a Sagittarius Gemini, which is why I get along with her so well.
Yeah, and when I'm coming up with a new term for that. I haven't thought of the term just yet. I'm asking my guys, but there's a whatever be just below a master. You know, when your step number is the opposite sign, you have a particular gift for that whole spectrum. You've mastered that spectrum. You're a spectral master, really, because you understand both the Sag and the Gemini.
Correct.
Some people just understand one side of the equation, and so they're sort of lopsided. But with every thought you have, you're also considering the belief of where it's headed at the same time. You're also considering how it fits into your belief structure. Whereas Geminis are just sort of they can sometimes what appears to be ramble, which is them just scrambling around a topic.
Totally.
A lot of your words have purpose and meaning, and if they don't really fit into your vocabulary if they don't have an aligned purpose. So this week is about getting back in touch with your inner child. So for you, because you have a Cancer rising and you're a Gemini, you're always working on two signs at once.
Correct.
At the same time. And that also means that you always work on things for 2 months in a row. So it's always a 2-month, a 60-day dive into stuff. So right now you are doing your first dive on your inner child, your relationship to your heart, and you're doing your second look at your emotions. So it's about your feelings and your inner child. And for the Gemini perspective, it's that your inner child really wants more joy in life. So it's time to change your relationship to your inner child, right? And your moon in Aqua tends to downplay the fun. So Aquas they try to be cool, So they're not ones that like throw their hands up on a roller coaster. They're sitting there with all in postures. They're going on the roller
Well,
coaster.
that's how that's how so especially as a child, I had to really kind of suck in that child Gemini. And I had to really use my Aquarius to block off those emotions, you know. I really like, I mean, I know turning off emotion isn't a superpower, but it can really help you in some situations, especially traumatic sexual abuse, all that sort of stuff. So, so I really resonate with going to the child, because that's what I'm reevaluating. And I realize that I have put, I reflect my fear. I put a lot of my fear of that Gemini talk. I talk it out. I talk my fear and give it to other people. So I've never realized that. I never thought I was I can't figure out the word, but I give it to others. I never thought I was like that, but I'm reevaluating that. You know?
Yeah, and actually, so your mind will think that the issue is in the way you think, but the reality is it's like our last person on camera. You actually need more emotional nurturing. So,
right.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah. So, and you'll find that your head will get straight the better nurtured you are. And
yeah, and my husband's a Leo.
Okay.
A Leo Gemini with Pisces. So he feels it, and he's actually really teaching me the aspect of feeling it, and I think it. My son is a Leo Virgo, so again, that's a hard one. For some reason, Virgo, my Aquarius really comes out.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Is he a Virgo? He's a Leo, the Virgo rising? Is that what it is?
He's a Cancer rising. He's a Leo, Virgo moon, and then Cancer.
Yeah, that's tough. That's a tough setup, because the Leo wants to play. So the Leo is the inner child. He represents.
I love it.
He's like an expression like you. That moon in Virgo sort of squashes the party. So his inner child wants to party, but then his moon in Virgo ruins the party. And then his Cancer rising complains about it.
No, I get it. So so he's 6 right now. And we've been really I've been not adult arguing, but it's more, I'm seeing that Virgo. And then as I just jumped into Sirius joy. So I'm really learning, this past, again, it takes me 2 months.
Yeah.
This whole Virgo season, and I'm still doing it, has been just really how is my emotions, how am I dealing with emotions? It's just been a lot. So
I bet it has been a lot. Yeah. So for your son, that Virgo moon that wants to perfect things, it's got to perfect the fun. That's how you twist those wires. He's got to perfect the fun. So how do you make this fun perfect? So if he has the task of making the fun perfect, what would make this party perfect? What would make this party even better? Then he will fulfill the satisfaction to be critical, because he has this. There's a satisfaction of the moon in Virgo of being critical. There's like an to it. But the thing is the Leo wants to have fun, so he needs to express the critical in a positive way. And so the positive expression of the critical would be, well, how can we make this even more fun?
Right. And I see that connection, and I appreciate the criticalness. I can be very critical myself, and I'm trying to use that, as I'm not going to be criticizing. I'm working on not being the criticizer with Bobby, because that's where we're clashing. There's true criticalizers. I mean, critical. I think
you and your son, is Bobby your son? Okay.
Yes.
Didn't know.
Bob. Yes. Bob.
Yeah.
Yes.
Got you.
And then my other son is a 0-degree Gemini, and then a 3-degree Gemini moon, and then Cancer. So we're like, But
Cancer
so
rising also?
yeah, Cancer
Two
rising
Cancer
also.
risings in the house. Wow.
Yeah,
You know,
she's getting a
Cancer.
lesson, right?
All three of us, my two boys and myself. So it's double Gemini,
Wow.
and then it's the
Wow.
Cancer. So,
That
but
is that's a reality show right there. Let's put some
Hey, oh,
cameras in the house.
oh yeah, that's a reality show, all right.
This is like
no,
Kardashians in
Garry
another
literally
state.
has said that. And then one last question. I'll let you, your gentlemen go. You gentlemen go. Now by tracking the stars, my husband, the Geminis are debating tracking the stars. Can you, let's say, in 500 years, can you look at the history patterns and see what it's going to be like, or how long of a timetable can we can track in the future? Not with like what's going to happen, but history repeating itself. I mean, I live in Portland, Oregon, so I mean, it's intense here.
In the human consciousness, it seems like our capacity to understand is one Pluto revolution. So that's 250 years. So
Okay.
we can kind of predict with reliability about 250 years. And then Pluto sort of resets the game. And the game is so different. So the last time Pluto was in Capricorn, democracy is invented, right?
Correct.
And that was a big deal because it was all monarchs and warfare and all sorts of stuff. That was the first time humans had rights. So, as an astrologer, it's kind of hard to see past when you have a game changer like that because you can't understand. You can project and theorize, but it's just like tell me in the feudal times, if I told you had a vote and you could vote against the king, they'd be like, what the F are you talking about? Vote against the king.
Well, it's almost like because we're going into Aquarius, and so that's going to be okay. I see it. Okay, thank you so much, Chris. Fantastic information. My mind is just, I love it. I need a pensive like Harry Potter so I can take out my thoughts and have more room. Anyways, so have a blessed day.
Okay, take care, Rejean. Thank you.
Thank you. Nice to see you.
Thank you.
And one last one, just really quickly. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good.
One last one is a special guest.
Okay.
Yeah. Who's been waiting to talk to you?
Yay.
Oh, it was Cynthia. She can't do it.
Oh, she can, huh?
Well, I tried to anyway. She declined right away. She's probably in a situation like she can't get into it, but I'll try one more time.
She's watching on the potty. I can't.
Yeah. I'm like, I'd answer on the case. Oh, there she is.
Yeah, I would too.
Hey,
why not? Just
hey, babe.
hide the echo.
Where is she?
It's coming in slowly, but it's coming in. It's like Instagram is reeling this one in, reeling in this Pisces
It's
fish.
like reeling the Pisces in.
Oh, we lost her. Oh,
we lost her again. Okay,
Okay.
We'll get her next time. But she wanted to say hi. I know that. Chris, it's I really felt last week. I feel this week coming up into the moon. My personal story is exactly what you just said. It's really resetting the beliefs and what I'm going to do, who I am, resetting the relationship with myself. I feel it. And I also feel like for me personally, that by the time I get to the moon, I'm not setting my what to do or how I'm going to act on the night before the moon. That moon is a realization of all the stuff that I've been going on already.
Yeah, that moon is a carry through. The moon is really the toilet flushing. So it's like,
yeah, I've already
spent the whole week getting rid of it, right?
Yeah, the kids have already been dropped off at the pool.
Right, exactly. So that full moon is okay. Amen. Praise the Lord. Off to the Lord you go. That full moon is actually early in the morning in North America too. So could be disruptive for sleep and stuff like that. Might be, I would say go to bed Thursday really resolved about what you want, or you might have a little trouble sleeping with that full moon in Aries, by the way, where it's going to be. But yeah, it's a new deal with ourselves, which is very exciting. We always think about improving ourselves, but we don't think about improving our relationship to ourselves. So, just imagine how you want to be spoken to, how would you want someone to treat you? What would bring the best out of you? Be that for yourself and see what happens. That's my thought.
Awesome, Chris. Look forward to next week. This is so fun.
Me too, dude. This sets the week off with the perfect vibe and just makes my week soar. So I appreciate it, dude.
Hey, take care.
We'll see you next week. Ciao for now, guys. Bye, everyone.
Okay, and if you haven't done it yet, if you want to try Chris's coaching service, which has changed my life, I'm on going 6th year or going on to my 7th year, I guess, which is Sirius Joy. You can go to our website, check out our new website. And in our new website, what we have is we have a section for partners, and you'll find Sirius Joy in there. You can try Sirius Joy, sign up through Human Garage, and you can try Sirius Joy for $4, $3.99 for the first month. If you don't like it, you can cancel anytime. But I strongly suggest it. What it does is that there's a whole host of stuff. You can become a full-fledged astrologer just by listening there. You can track people that you know around you and see what's going on in their world. You get a daily forecast that is recorded live. And then you get a weekly and a monthly. You get access to all these other things like this 40 days of self-love. We got another one coming up in Scorpio, which is going to be super powerful, that you can join. You get 7 messages a day because astrology is a lot. It's a big, big, big world. And if you want astrology and you want to work in your life, it's too much content if you're trying to figure it out unless you have some reminders. Because I'd get a reading or look at the daily report, and then by the end of the day, it's like, what happened? Well, this thing will send you a message 7 times a day. And this is a web app, so it's not in the App Store. So you have to go to humangarage.net and then go to our partner section and then sign up for it. And if you're in the United States, you'll get a text message. If you're out of the United States, you'll get email with notifications on your phone, and you'll see. It's scary accurate. I mean, it is so freaky accurate. It's like tells you exactly sometimes to the minute what you're thinking about. So looking forward to this next week coming up. Remember what he said. This will be posted live here shortly, and you can rewatch it anytime. Take care, everybody.